Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the KPA and TK Carsites webinar today on social media and fixed ops, your hidden gold mine to attract visitors, build genuine fans, and generate leads. I'm Becky Ross, the Marketing Manager at KPA, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. We are very pleased to have a guest speaker today, which is Kathy Cruz. Kathy is an automotive social media expert, blogger, author, speaker, and the founder of Cruise Control Incorporated. Kathy started at the ground floor of dealerships in 1979 and methodically worked her way up through all levels of dealership operations. Since 2001, Kathy has bridged the balance between 30 years of best practices and dealership management experience and creative new ideas to generate results for dealerships and manufacturers across Southern California and the entire United States. During the webinar today, if you have any questions, please use the questions feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. All of the telephone lines have been muted, as well as the computer microphones. So the only way for you to talk with me or to submit questions is in writing via this questions feature. At the end of the webinar, we will answer as many questions as possible. If we are unable to get to your question live, I will be providing contact information for both Kathy and myself, and you can reach out to us with any additional questions. Also, you will receive that email later today that includes a copy of the full recorded webinar as well as the presentation slides. We are going to cover a lot of information, so that's a great resource to go back and review any portion that you may have missed. It's also a great resource to keep on hand for the future or forward along to a colleague or a friend. And as always, we love it if you share it on your social media outlets. Speaking of social media, we always like it if you engage with us here at KPA and TK Carsites. So you can chat with us during the webinar or at any time at facebook.com/TK Carsites or on Twitter at TK Carsites Inc. So now let's get started with learning about social media for fixed ops. Kathy?
Hi everyone, thanks for attending. Today we're going to talk about social media. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my background. I have actually sat in the chair of a service manager and as a parts manager. I've actually worked all the jobs in a car dealership except technician. I started in the business in 1979 and worked my way up, as Becky said earlier. I was always a car gal. My grandfather was a car dealer in downtown Los Angeles. I used to build model cars from Big Daddy Roth and some other Rydell brands. So I'm just kind of a car gal, always have been, always will be. So and I have a very soft spot in my heart for fixed ops. I think that the level of connection to the customer in the service drive is such an important one and such a valuable one, and I'm really happy to be talking to you guys today about social media. I do social media coaching and training, and I think that a lot of times the sales department gets all of the accolades where I firmly believe that there is a gold mine in the service department, especially when we're talking about social media. So there's a shift that has happened in our culture, and it's brought about by technology. Technology has, just as in the years ago when the telephone or the internet came about, it facilitated conversations between each other, between people, between organizations, and for marketers, that's made it so that we can talk to customers in a different way. Customers are communicating in a different way. They are wanting to communicate with brands, and there's a huge opportunity to do that. So, and so it's just another step towards a more frictionless way of communicating. If I can take Mark Zuckerberg's terminology, he talks about it when he speaks about Facebook being open and connected and trying to facilitate a frictionless communication between people and brands. I call this feed the bear. The typical, I shouldn't say typical, but traditional advertising agencies and PR agencies are having a little bit of an issue with social because they've been doing things the same way for years. And what that is they've been kind of keeping the customer in the cage like a cage bear. And when they've been feeding the bear, you know, the same old mess, pushing the mess into the cage and expecting people to eat it, this way of communicating a brand and advertising is what we call push advertising. And those of us that have DVRs, we fast forward. We don't really listen to marketing messages anymore. We listen to our friends and our family. So the advertising agencies and the PR agencies are having to shift this and think about how they can communicate with the bear more readily, because the bear has actually escaped the cage and it can eat anything it wants, including you. So how can we market fixed ops in 2012? And the two main points today, we're going to talk about some of the strategies that we can use through social media and some other things, but targeted marketing and relationship building. And the best part about parts and service is that there already is a relationship built and continues to be built in the daily operation. Service writers, even the porters, parts counter people, these people have relationships with their community, with the people that come in the service drive. And so it's just a matter of shifting the idea of taking that and putting it online and using technology to do that. Targeted marketing also, especially with something like Facebook ads, has become so laser focused into what demographic you want to reach. There's such an array of places to go and demographics to reach and criteria to put in a Facebook ad campaign that it's become so efficient, and the cost is minimal, and you reach such a large audience if you choose to reach a large audience. So so that's we're going to talk about these two things today. I wanted to bring your attention to this study. This is just something that came across my desk last week from a company called DME Automotive. I don't know them, maybe you guys do, but it was a study talking about the changing customer loyalty landscape and some of these shifts that have happened with the customer base. So it's making it even more important to really take advantage of social media marketing and with relationship to how your customer is changing. And I took some of the points out of this study, and we'll talk about those just briefly here. The biggest threat to dealership service departments are the aftermarket chains. We used to think the independents were, but the study shows that that's not the case. The loyalists to dealerships are aging. So you've got people above age 50 that think about the dealership as top of mind. It's like that's who they think of when they go to get their car serviced, especially when it comes to the bread and butter services. But the younger demographic is very loyal to the aftermarket. And I think that it's the younger generation thinking about their cost conscious. But we all know that dealership service departments and parts departments are very competitive with these aftermarket chains, and it's a matter of communicating that plus the value of coming to a dealership to these young people. And so they talked about the average vehicle age right now is 10.8 years. That was in January, and so the aging vehicle population actually favors aftermarket. So you've got the young people that have the older vehicles, and they're going to these aftermarket chains. One of the stats in the study said that vehicles that are 7 years or older, 13% of those people buy from dealerships. That's an alarming statistic to me. So, and the loss, as I said earlier, of the bread and butter services. So, but the way that we can guard against that movement is through social media marketing. You know, and this customer that's younger And this is not to say also too that it's not just the younger generation that is on, anyone under 30 is on social media. The largest growing demographic on Facebook is women 45 to 54. So as Facebook grows, as Twitter grows, as YouTube grows, the bell curve of where the main user was a younger demographic, the bell curve is starting to flatten out, where even 13-year-olds are using it all the way up to 70 plus. So, but Generation Y, born into a world of hype, their BS detectors are highly sensitive and they're calibrated with social feedback. They speak to each other rather than listen to marketing messages. So if we can tap into those conversations that they're having, and I'm going to talk about how we can do that, then we have an opportunity as a dealership, as a fixed ops department to get in and speak to them about why it's better to come to the dealer service drive. So these changes with communicating and social media and online ratings are, to me, the two main places that we need to focus our attention. Online ratings are a make it or break it situation. You have customers that are obviously CSI customers, and you have a process inside the store to handle CSI, but more and more it's becoming that, as we all know, that those surveys and that information and all of those statistics stay pretty much indigenous between the factory and the dealer. So it's a matter of taking those processes and taking one step further in capturing reviews and getting your staff involved in that process. So these tried and true selling methods that worked as recently as 2 years ago are working far less well today. And this is not to say that these don't work. These direct mail pieces, email marketing, these are all things that you can use, that you have in your wheelhouse now. We'll talk about how we use those later. But these advertising messages that are here, like I said, people are fast forwarding through their commercials. They're choosing to listen to Sirius and XM radio. And so when you have a customer base that is connected to their network, your marketing messages kind of go unheard, because they've got if it doesn't matter if you say that you're biggest and best if your customers have friends and family who are telling them otherwise. So we'll talk a little bit how we can incorporate some of these traditional marketing and advertising initiatives and combine them with social media. Social media is basically word of mouth digitized. As we all know, word of mouth is the strongest way to market. And the best part about fixed ops and being the service drive is that you get a lot of people that are repeat customers. And these repeat customers refer to their network. And that's why I was saying earlier that, pardon me, that the opportunity for the service department and the parts department to tap into this is right there. It's just a matter of taking the steps to do that. It's not easy, but it is I think the rewards can be very positive, because you've already got this community built, you've got repeat customers, and they will refer. Every service writer that I have ever known has at least 10 raving fans that only want to talk to them when they come in the service drive. Or more. If service writer's been at the dealership for a long period of time, they probably have 100. So those people are what we call brand advocates, and they can be tapped to help you communicate through technology, through video testimonials, through maybe they're bloggers, maybe they would like to guest blog on your dealership blog. There's lots of opportunities to tap into that raving fan database there. So we'll talk about how what those opportunities are in a minute. So we're in this world of interconnectivity, and it's something that we have to realize has happened. There's no more a question of if, it's a matter of how to do it. If if to do it has been answered. The answer is yes. So we have to decide what platforms we want to be on, what are going to make the most sense for the fixed ops department, and think about the marketing strategies that we can do there, and incorporate some of our already existing presence. So, and all of this is because today's customer doesn't just buy what you sell, they buy who you are. They want to be able to, your customer wants to be able to align with you in has some shared perspectives, and a brand, and your people that are on the front lines all have a personal brand that your customer feels connected to, especially the repeat customer that comes in. They feel very connected emotionally to the store. So that's why they come to see you. And so what social allows you to do, social marketing allows you to do, is to communicate that in a wider array, in a wider span of people that don't know you yet, but can see through your content strategy what kind of place you are. And they decide, well, I'd really like to do business with these people. They also look at your online ratings. So these are all in an effort to identify who you are and do they want to do business with you or not. So, and if you think about this, it's just, how do you buy? When you go on vacation, do you typically check the hotel ratings on TripAdvisor or one of these other sites, see who has the good ratings? I was just doing this yesterday. I'm thinking about going to New York in June for Blog World, and I was looking for a hotel. First thing I went to the ratings and see what other people have said about it. It's not people that are necessarily that I know, but there are people like me. They're just like me that share their opinions. Restaurants, even movies. You know, we've always, for a long time, have depended on movie reviews. So if you just think about how you buy and the decision-making process that you go through when you see these ratings and reviews from others, and what they tell you things about the brand, and you make decisions about whether you want to buy from that brand or not. So we call it social business, and it's about building relationships, and that when you build relationships, then you build trust with that customer. And where in the service drive, you've got trust built with a lot of those customers already in your database, and that equals more sales. So this is sort of the protocol that kind of is all about what social business is about, is relationships, trust equals sales. So we have this shift that's happening in daily operations. It's happened in the sales department. There's some salespeople that I know that are actually building their own Facebook pages, service writers as well, blogging, creating their own blogs, and it's almost like a groundswell from the employee side, and it's not actually, whereas before we would take the cues from the factory, the manufacturer would send us, marketing ideas and concepts, but they haven't been very quick about moving towards in this direction. Some factories have, but certainly not far enough, I would say. And the factories, the manufacturers have a different marketing perspective. They're looking to build interest around the brand of the vehicle, and dealerships are looking to build interest around the brand of the dealership. Has the dealership been there for a long time? Is it family owned? What is it about the store that is unique and wants to be able to communicate and tell your future customer more about you and who you are? So there's this shift that's happened, and it's not just in dealerships, it's in a lot of businesses where it's very time consuming, and it's a marketing job. It's actually marketing strategy. It needs you need a little bit of technology and a little bit of you have to be able to be a little bit savvy about these networks and how they work. So the time aspect of it really is taking so much so that I advocate bringing in or someone at the store being a community manager. We can call a social media marketing manager, the customer relations manager, and in the service and parts departments, there are some support staff that could actually take this role on in a part-time basis. And just, I want to get you guys thinking about this concept of having someone in charge of it, because as you'll see as we go through this, what it takes to develop content around that idea about who your brand is and who your customer is. It does take marketing strategy. A person that doesn't have any marketing ability, or maybe not, maybe they have ability, but maybe they don't know about it, they don't have the skill set yet. There's ways to train them on that. And I just want to get you guys, like I said, thinking about having someone be in charge of it, because it really needs to have the communication between the store, the employees, and the customers is something very important and needs to be monitored on a regular basis. So, and also the initiatives in the store that it's going to take to get the staff involved in this social business. So now we'll talk about the platforms and some of the strategies that I can see that are actually really valuable for fixed ops. And I'll talk about the 4 elements of Facebook marketing success. This can work for the sales department as well, but I think with service, like I said, there's such an opportunity to build the right foundation here, and you've got an opportunity with such a large audience that you're ahead of the game. So the first step I'll talk about is greet your visitors right, and I'm using Pringles because it's kind of an over-the-top example of what a good welcome page will do for you. You want to get people to like your page first. In order to like your page, you want to get these, if you could see these little arrows going up to the like button, and it's a very social kind of wording here, the copy, and that's speaking to the visitor, that thanks for popping by. If you love Pringles, you've come to the right place. Just one click of like and you'll be in the know on everything that pops with Pringles. So it's visually appealing, and it drives the customer, the visitor, to do what you need them to do, which is like your page. And once they like your page, then they have access to the content that you're going to be sharing on there. Next thing is a lead generation form. I used this one. This is a customer that we have that they did a Facebook contest for, they did a giveaway for a gas card, and when you do that and you use Facebook ads along with it, you drive customers to this lead generation form. They fill in their name, their phone number, their email, and then you've got their contact information, and that's actually a lead for later. You can add them into your customer database, set them up for email marketing, and this can be done with the service department. We've done this with service. Just logistically, this screenshot worked better for this presentation than the ones that I have that relate to service. But you can definitely set up a service appointment through this. You can capture, just depending on what your goal is and who your customer is, and designing a strategy around that and designing this lead generation form. So huge opportunity to collect information on the customer, which is what we want to do. And then, of course, they like your page, and they get access to your content. The third of the 4 is cheap, effective Facebook ads. I'm going to talk a little bit later about this complete shift with Facebook that happened a couple weeks ago. It's effective on March 30th. Facebook obviously is doing an IPO. They want to make it happy and friendly for everyone, so they buy the stock. And so they've revamped the way that they do Facebook ads. They've added a lot of more, I should say, I guess, more robust parameters that you can set, different things, analytics that you'll get. But Facebook ads can, like I was saying earlier, can drive the customer down to target exactly where you want to go with that customer. It can be fans, it could be friends of fans, it can be people that aren't fans yet, depending on what your goal is. If your goal is to get likes, that's a very typical Facebook campaign for a dealership and for a service department, is to establish, to get more likes. And you want to go in the surrounding area. They give you, a 1 mile radius around the store. You can tap into another dealership's PMA. You can do a lot of interesting things with Facebook ads, and they are very, very reasonable. I have a client right now that has built, I think they've got about, they're just about to hit 800 fans, and they've been doing Facebook ads for about 6 weeks. And I don't think they've spent more than about $300 or $400. So when I say cheap, they are pretty cheap. The cheap part is the buying of them, but the actual managing of them does take time, and this is where that community manager comes in handy, because you have to look at Facebook ads and your campaigns pretty much twice a day so that you make sure that you're spending your budget correctly. You take a look at the analytics, you see what's working, you see what isn't working, you change it up, and it's very real time. Much different than a lot of the advertising campaigns that we ran before with direct mail and radio ads. Those are things that you never really knew for sure if they were making sense and people were liking the ads or not. So, but with Facebook ads, you have real-time information to tell you if they're working or not. So, and then the fourth, and I think probably the most important, because it's time-consuming and takes a lot of real marketing strategy concepts, is the content that you share. It's all about engaging with your community, and the community meaning the community meaning Facebook, but also if you can get your real-life community onto Facebook, that's actually the goal, is to mirror your real-life community onto your Facebook page. And a little bit about engagement. Engagement is what drives Facebook. When your customers and the people that like your page are liking and commenting and sharing your content, that's engagement. And the more engagement, Facebook sees that and they reward you. If you're not getting any engagement, it doesn't matter how many fans you have. You can have 100 or 10,000, and if you're getting no engagement, your content is not going to reach those fans' walls. And the wall is, for you guys that aren't on Facebook, the wall is the feed that comes onto a person's Facebook page. And so when you are getting engagement from your fans, then your content will reach your fans' page more readily. So, and I talk about the 80-20 rule. A lot of people ask me about content and how much can I share about service specials, how much can I share about the store, and you want to keep that to about 20% as a general rule. Some dealerships do it less because they read their analytics and they see what their audience is engaging with, and they give them more of what they are getting engaged with. And you're not going to get a lot of engagement from sharing things about the store necessarily. Things like, well, in the sales department, there's people that really want to talk about the vehicles and maybe share something from the manufacturer's Facebook page, and that's all well and good, but you may not get a lot of engagement on that kind of thing. The people that engage with that kind of content are people that are further down the sales funnel, ready to buy. So if there's someone that's ready to have their car serviced and you've shared something, we'll show you later about a piece of content, I think it's the next slide, about a service special that's going on, you will get engagement with those people that are in the market to come get their car serviced. But as a general rule, your community isn't all the way down the sales funnel. They're somewhere up above the ready to buy mode. So so keep 80% of your content that's not about the store. And in that content, you want to be relevant, be human, be interested, and be helpful. I know those are very broad terms, and each store I trust, I can tell you that each store has its own personality, and taking it through that process of deciding what your strategy is, we can uncover what the personality is about your dealership that makes you unique to your customer. Think about social media as your digital backyard barbecue, and this is in the 80% content that you're going to share. When you go into a neighbor, like a barbecue, a backyard barbecue, the first thing you do, you don't say, hey, nice, hey, nice to see you, neighbor. By the way, we've got a really great service special going. You're typically going to walk in the backyard barbecue, maybe go say hi to your neighbor and, hey, what's up? How's your job? How are the kids? How's the family? And then maybe go grab a beer maybe grab a little food, and then eventually you'll get around to talking about, hey, we've got this really great service special, if someone might be interested in that. So think about that's how your content strategy is going to be. You want to keep it very social and very engaging, very attractive to someone that isn't necessarily looking for a service on their vehicle. So, but I am an advocate of talking about service specials on Facebook. Not enough dealerships do it. A lot of dealerships tap into the sales department and their initiatives, but this is a client that they share this great service special. I think it's through, that might be through the factory, their Ford dealership. And as you could see, this is just a piece of content on someone's, on their wall. And this reached 135 people just by posting something on their wall. And one person, Nancy Karkland, liked it, so that's cool. Right below is an example of the other kind of content they're talking. This is in the 80% bracket. And this week, the weekend is here, what will you be getting into? And they had a lot of people answer that. So these thought-provoking questions, asking questions is always cool. You always want to think about the audience and what interests them. That's what the 80% bracket's going to be about. So again, I just can't say enough good about the service specials and getting people engaged. And the more you grow your fans in the surrounding area, the more you're going to get engagement about these service specials. This is an example of, it was too big to put on my screen, but right above this Facebook post where it says stop in today for a front disc brake special, there was a graphic that they just took the JPEG from their direct mail, and we used that as the visual. Visual and anything visual on Facebook gets a lot of attention. With these enhancements that they're rolling out, they actually rolled out the enhancements on the visual, on the photos already. So if those of you that are on Facebook now, you've noticed some of your photographs are way bigger than they used to be. Video is also very valuable for getting engagement. So anyway, if you're going to share a service special, always share a visual, and taking a JPEG from your mailer always works. But this is just an example of the kind of exchange that can happen between a customer and having the dealership respond. And this is going back to that community manager and having them know that this happened. When someone comments on one of your posts, you get an email. You can set up your notifications to have an email sent to yourself as the admin on a page. So this dealership had access to it. They interacted with this person. You can see she asked how long is it good for. They told her how long. Is service open tomorrow night? Does she need a coupon? They gave her all the information she needed. And then asked her a question. You want to keep engaging her so that this lead doesn't go all off into Never Never Land. So they asked, do you have a regular service advisor that you speak with? And she mentioned Mark or Ron. And then again, keeping her engaged, getting her to set the appointment. They also asked if she needed the rear disc brake special. She said she'd already had that done. Then she talked about the discount, and then they ended up taking it offline. And she set up the appointment. She came in, and she actually ended up spending $1,500 on her vehicle. So this is the importance of, this is just a micro kind of very small tip of the iceberg example of what happens on Facebook and how leads can happen very quickly, and how someone that's designated to be in charge of your Facebook or your other social platforms needs to stay aware of what's going on. So a little bit about Facebook timeline. These are the changes that are happening March 30th. The welcome pages are not going to be default anymore. So in other words, when a person visits your page, it's not going to default to that welcome page. It's going to default to timeline. This picture above, I used Lexus as an example. They were one of the first adopters of timeline when Facebook announced it a couple weeks ago. This shot here is called a cover photo. Everyone is going to need one of those by March 30th. It cannot have any branding marketing language, I should say marketing language on it. In other words, it can't have your contact information, your website, phone number, any marketing language like our page or share this or anything about that. It can just only be a photo. And there's some great examples out there of these cover photos. What happened with the landing pages and those welcome pages, they're still there. But as you can see, these 4 little boxes on the bottom right under the photo, that's where people will click. So incorporating Facebook ads is becoming more prevalent, driving people to your page and having them click on one of these, we call them their apps basically, and they're just visual representations, little thumbnails of what these apps are. And you can drive people to your welcome page and to get them to like your page through Facebook ads by attracting them with that thumbnail, maybe something like, are you a first-time fan? Click here. So so timeline is, again, I just wanted to warn everybody about, there's a lot of changes about it. There's Facebook has a lot of information out there. If you guys want to email me, I can actually send you a link to what Facebook, it's pretty comprehensive about some of the changes that are going on. So I want to talk a little bit about Twitter. Twitter is a great social platform to market your store, especially market your department. There's ways for your service department, service writers to communicate with your community through Twitter. As a dealership, these are some that I've talked about. There's 5 components to growing a Twitter follower base. First, you want to seek genius. Seek out people to follow that you want to emulate, that you want to maybe have conversations with. It is very conversational. And I'm going to show you some examples of dealerships and how they do that. So seek out people that you want to follow. And these don't have to be automotive people. These can be social media leaders, people in the community, bloggers, your customers, of course. These are people that you feel that can help you in your campaigns, in just learning things, and of course the ultimate result is to get your customers to follow you back. Always be social, be conversational, take some time every day to just kind of look and see what people are saying. Retweet. Retweet means when someone's posted something, very often people share links to really great blog posts or really great videos, and so if that's something your audience would enjoy, then you can retweet that to your audience. People will thank you for doing that quite regularly, and then you should also thank them back if someone retweets the content you've shared. Twitter search is a very, very powerful tool as well. You can actually see who's talking about getting a service in your community through Twitter search. Conversations going on. You can search people's bios for if you're wanting to reach out to bloggers in the area or just influencers in general. Influencers are people that have a large social following, and they might be your customers. So, and then last but not least, leverage the tools. You don't always have to be on Twitter 24/7 at all. The opportunity by leveraging tools, there's a great way like social media dashboards like Hootsuite. Those allow you to schedule tweets out so that you don't have to always be on. Again, this goes back to your community manager and having them be able to do that. Search for the content that's relevant to your audience. There's also tools like refollow.com that will allow you to look for people to follow in your area. You can set parameters of where you want to search. If you want to search people's tweets, if you want to search other people's accounts, other Twitter people's accounts. You can search by their Twitter handle. You can search geographically. You can search bios. And this is all in an effort to start conversations with people in the community. So another tool that along with Hootsuite and Refollow is TweetAdder. TweetAdder is somewhat like Refollow. Refollow is a lot more manual. TweetAdder, I think, is for the advanced stage if you're using Twitter. It is highly automated. You have to kind of keep a rein on it because you don't want Twitter to look at you like a spammer. So, but it will allow you to automatically follow and unfollow people, and you set the parameters of how often and who, and bring up lists, and it's quite powerful. And it's pretty reasonable. I think it's like $50. That's it. It's $50 one-time charge. Refollow, I think, is $10 a month or so. And Hootsuite is free. Hootsuite is, again, will allow you to schedule on Twitter, on I shouldn't say any, but a lot of the platforms, Facebook, will allow you to schedule content so that you don't have to always be remembering to put a status update up. This is an example of a Twitter account, a guy, Charles. He actually works at a Volkswagen dealer. His Twitter handle is Humble Mechanic, and he has a blog as well. But he converses with people in his area with his customers, and he does a really good job of it. So if any of you guys are on Twitter, follow him. He's really cool. This is a dealership that is in northeastern Pennsylvania. This is the dealer himself. He enjoys Twitter. He likes to talk to people. He has, you can see Tang there on the bottom. He's named Tang as the official drink of the dealership. His personality comes through in his tweets. He's very conversational. He's very funny. In January, he went to the Yankee fantasy baseball camp, and he shared things there. He's reaching out to bloggers in the area. There's a blogger, a fairly well-known northeastern Pennsylvania blogger that he's actually reached out and actually become friends with, and they're doing some cross-promoting. So just want to show you guys an example of what a dealer can do. And then let's talk about a dealership blog. Blogging is a way to communicate to your audience that you are a likable expert. You have information that you want to share, and you do that through blog posts. It creates a lot of engagement through the blog itself. People comment, and there's actually, I'm a blogger myself, and in the comments, a lot of blog posts have comments, and those comments can actually spur on further blog posts. And you take your blog posts and you share them on Facebook, on Twitter. If you do video blogging, you can, of course, share those on YouTube. Video blogging is good for if you have events at the dealership, maybe a service clinic, and have someone video blog, interview customers just in short, quick minute-and-a-half videos. These are all really great ways to develop more engagement with your community. Blogs also provide fresh content for your website. You always want to house your blog on the dealership website. It provides fresh content for Google when it searches your site, crawls your site looking for fresh content. You put keywords in there, and it really amps up your page rank. A good protocol for blogging is 1 to 2 times per week, and the staff participation. You might say, oh, what am I going to write about? And certainly helpful tips about vehicle service and things like that work wonders. And what I find is a great starting point is asking the people on the front lines, the service writers, what are the 3 most asked questions that your customers ask. And each one of those questions you can blog about. 200, 250 words is all it takes. You can even have your staff write them and have your community manager edit them and get them more involved, because this is about getting the staff involved. This is an example of Lebanon Ford. There's a wonderful guy named Jeff Kreider. He's been in social media for a long time. He's, again, part of this groundswell of people coming in through the sales and service front lines. He blogs quite regularly. This is a pretty popular blog with his community. This is a gal from Atlanta. She sells cars, but she talks a lot about the details of vehicles. You know, Mercedes drivers are interested in a lot more in their vehicles about just the specifics of their vehicles. So she does a really great job. She just took this on herself, built it herself, actually. And then this is a dealership blog, a Honda store, and they do a really great job in content. This particular post is about their employee of the month, and I believe he's a parts guy, as if I could tell from the background. So there's lots of opportunity with blogging, and tapping into your staff's contribution, get them to contribute is a key point. So I just integrate with what if you've just lean on your already existing presence with social media. Use a value. You've got a database that's there. You can do email marketing. Email marketing to talk about email your blog. You can have people subscribe to your blog through email marketing. You can run some email marketing campaigns around asking people to like your Facebook page, follow you on Twitter, also to write a review for you on the various websites, which we'll talk about real quickly in a minute. Direct mail marketing, incorporate your Facebook URL there so that people can follow you. You can put a QR code on your direct mail marketing. QR codes are where people with their smartphones or an iPad can read them and have it directly linked to your Facebook page so they can go right there and like the page. And then cross-promotion. If you've got companies in the area that have Facebook pages, got a client that's running a Biggest Loser contest right now. They've got 16 people at the store and 16 people at the local deli. They're having a contest, a Biggest Loser who can lose the most percentage weight. And they're sharing that on Facebook, and it's getting a lot of engagement. Another client that is doing, they've got a ski resort in their area. They gave the resort a couple of cars to drive during ski season. They're cross-promoting. That ski resort has a 25,000 fan Facebook page, so they're cross-promoting. You're able to tap into the skier, the community that ski resort has. So there's cross-promotion with vendors. There's just lots of ideas around it. And I think, as you can see, there's this way to integrate and just start thinking about how you can integrate. And then last is your online reputation, and these are the places where people go to write online reviews about you, and incorporating that in a process inside the store to capture these reviews. Again, tapping those raving fans that love you. If you ask them to write a review, you don't have to ask them to write a positive one. They're going to write a positive one. We know that. So again, email marketing, database, repeat customers will if you ask them very regularly, they will write a review for you. And this is I just wanted to point this out. This is a dealership that 2 years ago had a vehicle come. They sold a vehicle and it came in service. Obviously, it was a $7,000 Ford Escort, and this customer is very, very unhappy about the result because they basically didn't. Whatever the concept was, I won't tell you the long drawn out story, but at the end of the day, he's still driving the car, and it's 2 years that this video called Used Car Nightmare is sitting when you search for Mossy Toyota. So there's this conflict. We've always had conflict resolution, especially in the service department. We've always had a process inside stores for conflict resolution. And this is a matter of taking that process that you have and applying it to the online customer. We don't ever want to have someone get far enough where they've gone to the trouble of making a video showing their vehicle, and you can search for this dealership and you can watch this video, but he shows a glass of water on top of the engine and how it's shaking. You just don't want to ever have it come to that point. So again, it's just the conflict resolution protocol and just using that with the social customer. This is a dealership that has 1.5 stars on Yelp. They do a pretty good job in real life. I can tell you that if you ask them, do you deliver a 1.5 star experience to your customers in service? They say absolutely not. But what they're missing here is the process inside the store to capture positive reviews. You're going to get negative reviews. That's what's going to happen because the cars break. That's what happens. So you need to have a proactive strategy that keeps people writing reviews for you that are happy. And it really, once you turn your attention to that strategy, it really does work. So the key to your success on that is your team. It's a process and your team on the front lines, and just helping them develop a process of capturing these reviews. And here's the proactive strategy I'm talking about. So if frontline personnel are not on Facebook and not on Yelp and don't visit Google Places, and if they're not tech savvy, that's fine. But there are some that are, and certainly I would imagine 1 or 2 people already are. So and those that aren't, get some training for them. Get them to understand and see why it's important. Signage. Signage is really important. Like us on Facebook, put QR codes around the store that link to your Facebook page. Talk about, there's a stickers you can get, love us on Yelp, that just put them on the doors, put them on the service writer offices, put them in the cashier's office, any place where customer eyeballs are, and also where your staff's eyeballs are, because that keeps awareness going about capturing your views and about getting people to like your Facebook page. That community manager, that person's the kingpin to this whole thing. So hopefully I've communicated to you enough today about the need for someone for you to designate someone and have them be in charge of these platforms. Brand advocates, raving fans, vendors, people that know your brand already, and getting them to communicate with the audience in whatever fashion, whether it's guest blogging, video testimonials, written testimonials that you can put on your site, on your blog, commenting on your blog, writing on your Facebook wall about their experience they had in service that day. Many customers do that on Facebook pages today, as you just ask them to do it, and they do it. And then last but not least, motivate, recognize, and reward. That's the staff. You can motivate the staff by training them and showing them how this all works. Recognize them in meetings. Maybe someone got a 5-star review. Maybe someone got a mention on Facebook. Maybe someone had a great idea for a blog post. Maybe they wrote a blog post, and it was fantastic. And then rewarding. Things like video testimonials seem to be one of the hardest things for staff to do. They're not used to being video. They're not used to, I have a video script. If you guys email me, it's a 4-question script. It's very simple and easy. And maybe just reward, like put a spiff out for the best video of the week or the first video of the week, or there's lots of ways to reward the staff on set up some initiatives. Maybe you want to get to 1,000 fans on Facebook, and once you do, you have a cash drawing in the store and put everyone's name in the hat and draw a name out. So there's lots of strategies for that. So I'm getting over a cold, sorry. Anyway, last but not least, head off trouble. Social media policy. With any initiative with employees, you want to have guidelines. I have a social media policy. If you guys email me, I'm going to put my email up on the screen. I'll be happy to send you our social media policy, because you want them to be able to share, but you want them to know what they can and what they can't share, and you want to know who can actually, obviously it just goes back to the importance of having a community manager and then having the general manager, of course, be involved. So very, very important here. I have a free ebook that's next up, Essential Social Media Strategies for Auto Dealers. If you email me, I'll be happy to send that to you. Again, that's my email address. If you'd like any of the things I've talked about earlier, feel free to email me. And if you subscribe to my blog, thank you. I blog twice a week about social media and online reputation for dealers. And I would love to have you subscribe to my blog. Just go to my website. It's right there. It's pretty simple. That's actually a screenshot of it. And thank you so much for coming and listening to me talk for the last 50 minutes. And I'd love to take some questions.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Kathy. Tons of wonderful information. So we're going to take Kathy's advice, and so I'm sending you all out a chat message right now that will show up in your feature. We would love your feedback, so I've sent you a link to drivingsales.com. You can just select KPA from the drop-down and then select KPA/dealerwebinars.com, and we would love to hear your feedback on our webinar series. So always great to ask for feedback, as Kathy mentioned. Also a reminder, you will receive an email later today that includes a copy of the full recorded webinar as well as the presentation slides. Those slides, as you can tell on your screen, do include Kathy's information, and as she mentioned, you can reach out to her for some extra goodies from today's webinar. So we just have time for a few questions, but we haven't had that many submitted, so we should be fine. The first one, Kathy, is, so can you go over real quick, and I know we're going to have some future webinars on it, but the whole Facebook changing their look and feel seems like that has quite a few people concerned about their things. So if they had to do one thing before the 30th, what would that be?
Definitely get a cover photo. and think about what your brand is about. It can be a picture of the dealership. It can be, if you're a legacy dealership, like let's say your family owned for a long time, maybe you've got an older picture. I've got a client that's got a picture from back when they were on Main Street in the town, and it's like sepia tones. They're using that as their Facebook cover. Just think about the components that make your dealership unique and what you want to convey. So definitely get a cover photo. That's, if you don't by the 30th, your page is going to look nasty. And the good news is, though, that if you're developing if you've got great content and you're getting a lot of engagement, not a lot of people are going to visit your page. So you've got they're actually going to see your content on their wall. But nonetheless, okay, people do visit your page. You're going to have a link to your page through your website. You're going to have maybe a QR code or a URL in some of your direct mail and things like that. So they are going to be visiting your page. So first and foremost, get that cover photo ready to go. And then fill out the, I'll go into a couple things about, there's a thing called pinned post. When you get a lot of engagement on one particular post, you're going to be, once you can convert now actually to timeline. You can go in and convert your page immediately. So right now, today. And once you do that, you'll be able to do these pinned posts where if you've got a lot of engagement on one particular status update, you can pin that to the top, and it'll be the first post that people will see, and it'll have a little drop-down yellow ribbon on it. That kind of conveys to the audience the kind of brand you are and the kind of engagement you have. Pinned posts will last, I think, 7 days only, and then it'll go away. There's other things called highlighted posts, which on Timeline, if you've been on Timeline, it has 2 columns. The highlighted post actually goes across both columns. So if you've got a really great visual of a car, I've got a client that's in Florida that actually they do gray market Highline, and they've got this really cool Ferrari. So that picture goes across the full screen. It looks really great. So, and then be sure to make sure that your about content, your about information, that in the quote-unquote about section of Facebook, make sure that's filled out correctly and it says what you want it to say. Maybe it has a call to action in there. Since you can't have a call to action or any marketing language whatsoever on the cover photo, that's where you want to put it in the about section. It goes right below your, right below the avatar. The cover photo, then you've got the little small profile picture, that avatar, and then right below that is where that content will go, where that text copy will go. So put a call to action there. So those are the things that I would say immediately.
Okay. And we are going to have some future webinars, I know, on kind of optimizing for the new Facebook. So everyone look for those invitations. And thanks for reminding me I need to go to my personal Facebook. And I'm not so good on this whole change of Facebook. So I need to update mine as well. And I'll make sure to update that KPA site. So a couple of more questions. I know we're right at the hour. If you do need to drop off, we understand to our audience that we are at the hour if you have another meeting to get to. If you can stay with us, we're going to take just a few more questions. So the next one is talking about blogs. How is the best way to get people to follow your blog besides just telling them to go there? Could you highlight your blog on your Facebook and Twitter accounts to try to push people to go there? Or what do? You just showed us your blog. How else do you get people to go to your blog?
I use Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, there's a little app called Network Blogs, Networked, and you sign up on Network, you feed your blog into there, and then whenever you post a new one, it automatically posts to your Facebook page. Twitter is fantastic for sharing blogs. Just can't say enough good about it. Every time I do a blog post, I share it about 3 times that day and a couple times the following few days, because remember, people aren't always going to see everything that you post because they go on Twitter at certain times. And think about, it's really great. If it's really great content, the local media love good content. So if maybe they're looking for some, the local paper. Maybe they're looking for some good content from a local business. You can reach out to them if they publish your blog. I do that. And then there's a really fantastic way for getting a lot of great people to share your blog. It's called Triberr, TRIBERR.com, and it was started by these two guys that are just the best guys. And the one guy, Dino, it came to him in a dream. He just woke up and said, how can I get smaller bloggers, the audience, the big bloggers, the big, massive influenced bloggers, how can I get them, the smaller ones, to have a leg up on that? So you basically go on Triberr and you can join a tribe, and the tribes are made up of the leaders, which are the people that are the influencers that have massive blogs, massive audiences, and they will actually, you and your tribe members all retweet each other's blog posts. So again, this goes, I have to stress, your content needs to be really good. It can't be, I call it splogging. There's some vendors that do splogging where it's spam blogging. It's like talking about your product or your service. That's not good content for people. They want something that makes you a likable expert, that's valuable to the audience. So good content. If you go on Triberr. I have actually a tribe that I've been trying to get started that's automotive blogs, but I don't have a lot of people that are blogging yet. So that's a next step. I think that's more of an intermediate step, but Triberr has totally amped my reach. I'm in 11 tribes. I have 150 tribe members, and I reach 5.2 million people every time I blog.
Wow, that's a great little resource. I have to check that one out. So our next question is, do you use Pinterest at all? We had a webinar on Pinterest. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? Do you use Pinterest, and do you recommend integrating that into kind of the social media strategy for your dealership?
I use Pinterest myself, yes. It was attractive to me. I think that the Pinterest audience skews female, and I was talking to someone the other day about Pinterest. It's very visual, and gals like to shop, and shopping is not the same as buying. Buying is a whole different animal. And the shopping part of it is these visual, connecting visually and connecting emotionally to some of these things. So for dealerships, I think it matters a lot about, again, it goes back to content, but if you're a store that has a really nicely designed vehicle, or a really good photographer that can take some really great shots of your cars, or some really great shots of vehicles being serviced, that's going to get you a long way. I think that I think the jury's still out. I know it will definitely drive traffic to your website if that's where, and to your blog. So there is a value there. There's a lot of, it takes a lot of work. That community manager, you'd have to tap into some of their time for that. And I think that the value in Pinterest is that it does skew female, and a lot of the statistics out there, I know Ask Patty, Jody DeVere, she talks about that the decision process for purchases it hovers around 85 to 90% skewing female. So anytime you can communicate with females and you're a service and parts provider, especially because they're looking for trust, and if you can communicate through a really, like I'd say, the photograph, the pictures, that can spark their interest and then drive them to your blog, I say that's a great strategy.
Okay, great. I know we're running over, but I did have one more question that several different people have asked in different ways. So I'm just going to try to sum it all up in one. Do you have any kind of guidelines or best practices that you would recommend specifically for the fixed ops department in posting to Facebook? So, for example, at most, should you post a certain number per day or per week? How do you get engagement, but at the same time don't overwhelm or spam kind of your Facebook page?
Sure. I would try first posting 3 times a day. One time in the morning. Think about when you check your email, people typically check their Facebook. So sometimes people get up in the morning, they check their Facebook. So, morning coffee time, lunchtime, and then early evening time. Try that first, and then look at what engagement you're getting. Look at your Facebook Insights, which is the analytics part of Facebook. I think that 3 times a day is good, and keep it where, for fixed ops, I think the noon time would be the best time to share a service special, and just in general, your audience might be different, your area might be different, but definitely a service special, or if there's we did some videos with a client a while back where someone in the store, they had a lead technician that was very video friendly. He liked to video. He was kind of gregarious. He liked to speak to customers. He's just one of those guys that likes to talk to people. And he did a video series on just how-to things, like how to check your oil, how to check your tire pressure, simple tips for maybe spring. It's spring now, so maybe there's some tips for spring to get your car into shape. Those videos are great. People watch them, and they communicate you, again, as that likable expert. So there's a huge value in that. So if you have someone at your store that's willing to do that, maybe the service manager, and I can tell you, video, I know, people are just uncomfortable with it in general, but the first couple times is like awful, but after that it becomes very easy, and you get comfortable with the camera. So try it. That's my biggest advice, is try the videos and share them on Facebook, and people will remember that this dealership, hey, I can check my oil because this dealership showed me how.
Okay, great. We do have to go ahead and end the webinar there. If we didn't get to your questions, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Kathy directly. Her email address is on the screen, as well as all of the other ways you can get in touch with her, and she'll be happy to answer any additional questions. Thank you, everyone, so much for attending our webinar today. We will see you back here next Wednesday for another webinar by J.D. Rucker, kind of our in-house expert on everything social for auto dealers. So please look for that invitation, which will be going out tomorrow. Thank you, Kathy, for all of the wonderful information.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure working with you. Love it.
All right, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. We'll see you next week. Thanks.